Okay. So we are up to Pirke Chamishi Mishnah Dalet. Fifth Pirke of Pirke Avoth, Mishnah Dalet, Mishnah number 4. Asara Nisim Nasura Otenu B'Misraim Asara Alayam. 10 miracles were performed for our forefathers in Misraim, and 10 by the sea. Let's see. So let's do the Rambam on this. It says Rambam, Aval ha'asara nisim shenasu avotim Misraim hu hinatzla min eser makot. The 10 miracles are the fact that they were saved from each and every makkah. Ve'yod kol makom makom miyuchedet b'Misraim v'lo b'Yisrael. The fact that the plagues very much discriminated. The plagues were, what's the word they use? Racial profiling. Were the ultimate racial profilers. They really profiled them. The plagues discriminated with prejudice and did not hurt, bother, pain in any shape or form the Jews. Ve'eluhem hanisim belo safek. And says Rambam, obviously there is no doubt that such a thing is a miracle. Such a thing is a miracle. You have every single Jew is saved from something like boils or other things that some of them were quite contagious. Or the natural phenomenon of blood. A Jew drinks blood and is fine. בלשון תורה בכל מקום מכה מהם שהביא הקדוש ברוך הוא על המצרים מלבד מכת הכלים. And says Rambam, Torah explicitly says them. Rambam says, I don't have to prove it to you that that's how it was. It is very explicitly mentioned in Torah, except kinim. By kinim, it does not say that kinim did not affect the Jews. It doesn't say it explicitly. But we know it as a fact, we know it as tradition, that Jews were not punished. They were found together, mingling, even it seems, with the Egyptians. But the plagues did not bother them. And Chachamim explained to us by what? By kinim. By kinim, the kinim did come to the Jewish area. They hung around. However, they didn't bother the Jews, it says. Because they didn't bite them. I don't know if I should say this.
Why they come?
But you know, only female fleas bite. You know that? Male ones don't bite. Only female ones bite.
I'm not gonna say anything.
So they need the blood to feed their eggs. That's why they bite humans. The humans or other animals. They cannot produce their own nourishment for their eggs. So that's why they bite blood. They drink blood. In my days as in yeshiva, so we got odd jobs here and there to make some cash, to pass by. So one thing I did only once, I volunteered for a bug repellent company to test their bug repellent. So they put it on you and they say how many fleas are attracted to you. They have these fleas.
How many fleas
are attracted to you after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, after 15 minutes, how strong the bug repellent works. So they have these fleas that are done in house, so they know there's no sicknesses. They have a farm, basically a flea farm inside the company, inside the thing. So because they do some testing in the wild, but for that they hire professionals that have insurance and all that, because there could be some real liability issues. But for this they take volunteers. So they expose you to a cage of 500 fleas. So how many of them land then?
It's crazy.
So when they count,
You
if
have
a
to
male,
take a shower beforehand?
if a male one gets through, they just don't count it, because male ones don't matter. They don't go biting anyways.
Because fleas?
I don't know if it was fleas or lice. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Not those that have ticks. It's regular household repellents. So that was an interesting education.
Was it worth it?
But you went
Mosquitoes. It wasn't fleas. Mosquitoes.
Even worse.
Mosquitoes.
You went first?
I volunteered one day.
What if one of the fleas is not house? What if one of the fleas does carry disease? How do you know what's going on?
No, it was a very reputable company, but it wasn't fleas. It was mosquitoes. Mosquitoes, only the female ones bite because they need the nourishment for the eggs. Male mosquitoes never bite.
Oh, mosquito.
When you have mosquito bite, it's from a female. At any rate, so it says the lice were there by the Jews, but did not bother them.
It was the male.
It was the male ones. So that is the tradition we have from Chachamim, that although the lice were there, they didn't bother them. But by the rest of them, as he said, they're explicitly in Pasuk. Amar Bedam, when it comes to the blood, it says, V'lo yachlu Yisrael lishtod mayim min hayor. It says only the Egyptians could not drink from the lake. So you see, only Egyptians couldn't drink, Jews could drink. By Sephardim it says, and again by Sephardim it says, your house, the Egyptians, wild animals, he fled by Yom at Eretz Goshen. It says very clearly that Eretz Goshen will be quite clear miraculously. No wild animals there. But Dever, when it comes to the Dever, where all the livestock died, the livestock of the Jews, not one did he pass away. When it comes to the boys, again it says it was only Mitzrayim. It says by hail, again no hail in Eretz Goshen. Arbe, the locust, was only on the Mitzrayim part. Jews enjoyed light. It was not dark for them.
What is it trying to prove through these verses?
That what the Mishnah says, it is only a tradition as far as to third Makkah of lice. Everything else is explicit in Pesukim.
Explicit that it was only the Egyptians, not the Jews.
That's correct.
So why was the lice came and didn't bother you?
Okay, so here is the contrast. That's why probably he said it. It says the 10 miracles that happened by Kriyat Yam Suf, that is old tradition. That's not explicit in Pesukim. There is old tradition. הראשון הפקעת מים כפשוטו של פסוק ויבקיעו המים. The first one, the pasuk says, is actually the splitting of the water itself. השני שהחשובה נעשו כקובה עד ששב כדמות גג ולא מקורה ולא משופע. והיה הדרך כאילו היה נקב במים. So it says number 2, the water, splitting of the water is nothing like the movies. Now he says it wasn't like a wall or like a roof. The water stood like a tunnel. There was a tunnel inside the water. So the water went around them. You imagine a round tunnel, more or less. I don't know if it was round or straight, but the point is, on all 3 sides is what actually on the 4 sides. Even the the bottom. They were walking. He says by Abasha, but Rashi brings down what? One place it says the water froze. So he says because the water also froze to make the bottom of the sea level. The bottom of the sea is not level.
Right.
It's very bumpy. So he was at the bottom of the sea, but later water froze. That now they have a very, very smooth path.
Floor.
They ice skated across, apparently. So again, miracle number 2 is that not only the water split, the water was some sort of protective shield around them. Perhaps the original Iron Dome.
Iron 2.
12 tunnels, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 12 tunnels. Each tribe has its own tunnel.
Iron 2.
Amar Chabakuk. This is what Pasuk in Chabakuk and Navi mentions. Nikvat b'matav rosh prazav. He drilled a hole through. Okay. Hashlishi she'artzo nitkasha, like we said, v'nikpal lahem. The third miracle was that the earth beneath them nitkasha hardened and froze. The pasuk says, he says, "Alchu bayabasha," on dry land. ולא נשאר בקרקעיתו שום חומר וטיט. And it wasn't in the bottom muddy as you would have expected. Even if the water were inside, it's muddy. No, it was not muddy. Like we would have expected on riverbeds. If a riverbed is dry, the riverbed itself is muddy. הרביעי שדרכים מסיים היו בחומר מדובק והוא אמרו חומר מים רבים. Amazing. But as the Mitzrim, as the Egyptians came in, so okay, we know the water stayed open for them also. But the nice and clean ground didn't hold for them. As soon as they came, they were going in mud. Every step the Egyptians put, it's mud as it should be. By Jews, it's nice and solid and dry.
So the Jews were in the tunnel, so when they came, how it happened?
They followed them into the tunnel.
On each separate tunnel they were falling? Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Again, Pasuk says, Chomer Mayim Rabim. That by Misrim, it was in water, but a lot of mud also. Number 5, miracle number 5, that there were many tunnels, like Shevatim Kien Keshet Agol Azot Surah. Like you could imagine, Rambam is apparently of those opinions who said that they didn't cross from one side to the other side, they crossed around their enemy basically, to the same side. So he said, imagine 10 half circles, 10 curves on top of 12 curves on top of each other. Just imagine that. And now we're going to see if he counts one of those miracles, because if you have curves cannot go inside each other. So the bottom curve would have been
Much smaller.
much smaller, shorter way than the outer. I mean, you're talking about more than a couple million people walking. So we're talking about huge curves over here. I'm sure all of you have noticed by Olympic Games that wherever they stand, depending on the curve, if the outer curves start up front, because they measure how much the circumference is more, and they deduct it from the length. So that's why they always start from a now that is only a few feet. Imagine miles on miles the difference between the first curve and the last curve.
Probably wasn't too many miles in the
Yeah, but if you need, you have this many number of people, right? So you need to fit 1/12 of 12 million. I'm sorry, 1/12 of 2 million. So somewhere around 200,000. 200,000 people need to fit in that curve. Now, if you make it shorter, it's going to be fatter. It's either way. we're talking about miles. You know, the width would be a lot.
So the Egyptians went into the tubes.
Yes, they followed them into the tubes.
And then all of a sudden,
Everything went back to what it was.
They went to
The only difference was for them it was.
Me'inagiheu bichvedut. It says it was very difficult driving. They went in with the chariots.
But in order for all of them to go, you have to have
Yes.
a way for them
the
to
chariots. They went inside the town.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure the tunnel was bigger than any tunnel we've seen.
Right.
You've been to these great tunnels with 6 lanes.
Right.
You've been to a tunnel with 6 lanes? Huge.
New York.
But it's still, it's nothing. Even one tunnel, you imagine one Shevet goes through. It's got to be huge.
all the.
So the width of the tunnel is 6 cars. These are one of our bigger tunnels. It's
Do
just.
we know how long it took them to actually cross from one to another?
What was the width?
What?
What was the width?
I have no idea.
Could
It's,
it be just one or
And the
two
belongings too, the belongings.
then
that
it
they
would have
had.
to be very long, but I doubt it. I doubt it.
And it wasn't just the people; it was the belongings.
That's right. Everybody had tens of donkeys
Yes.
loaded with whatever.
gold?
Right, tuna fish. And matzah.
No, yeah, no.
And
It's matzah.
matzah. Okay, let's see.
You have a picture of it.
Yeah, sure you have to. Right?
Yeah. והוא אומרו לגוזר ים סוף
Exactly.
לגזרים. That's what David HaMelech in Tehillim says. Hashem, what? He split Yam Suf to many divisions, to many parts. והשישי, שנקבו המים ונתקשו כאבנים. Number 6, that the water froze and hardened like rocks. ועל זה נאמר, שיברת ראשי תנינים על המים. It says you broke the head of sea creatures on the water, and that means the water solidified so hard where you imagine a fish or a creature bumps it against a rock, it gets smashed.
Right.
So too that's what happened over here. So it happened over here.
Was it cold freeze or it was a rock freeze?
Rock freeze. Rock freeze.
But it wasn't cold.
I'm sure it was not cold. והשביעי שלא נקראו כי כפיית שאר המים נקבעים לתרומה חתיכה אחת. Number 7, it wasn't what you would expect, the way water freezes and solidifies, that it all becomes one big sheet. You have these rivers in the Arctic or the Arctic Ocean. The whole thing is one big. Says no. These were many pieces like rocks, like you have rows of rocks. וצילרו כסתם על כסתם. והוא אמרו, אתה פיררת בעוזך ים. As I says, you made it into pieces. Shemini number 8, שנקבה כזכוכית. It froze clear, transparent. Transparent. Water, when it freezes, usually it's not transparent. או כשהם רוצה לומר בהיר עד שיראו כצאתם אל כצאתם. Because, imagine, as much as now for us, it's a really, really marvelous thing, and that's what it was. They had to go through it. Not a simple thing. It's not a simple thing at all. And not seeing one Shevet, not seeing 11/12 of the rest of the nation could be a very, very,
Scary.
anxious thing to do. It's a lot of anxiety going on here. So therefore, it says that's why the water, the tunnel around them, was like a tunnel made out of glass, transparent. They see exactly through to see the other ones. Look, you're all going together. Everybody's fine. Everything's under control.
Panic nation.
והוא אמר פסחת מים אבי שחקים לתרומה שקיבוץ מים היה כעשם השמיים לתרומה שהוא בהיר. Okay, התשיעי, number 9, שהיו נוזלים ממנו מים מתוקים והיו שותים אותם. What we call potable water, מים מתוקים, fresh water,
Right.
fresh water came out.
For drinking, right?
Right? It's how long did it take them? I sort of think it was about a half a day.
Night to morning.
No, in the morning, first light of the morning, I think the sea split because it says there were storms coming the whole night.
Wasn't it at night to the
No.
morning?
No, they were the whole night. כל הלילה עד הבוקר.
Vanesti.
That's right.
So
But
they
it
went to
says-
the water in the daytime or the nighttime?
Daytime.
Daytime.
By dawn. I mean,
Because
morning.
the winds went and dried up the land. Is that it?
Well,
All night. What did the winds do?
basic. It didn't dry up yet, but it sort of. There was so stormy that if one is in the mood to find answers for everything, like okay, so it is a very very unusual storm that picks up waters and has formed a tunnel inside. And as you said, dried up at the end. It didn't dry up at night, but it happened all of a sudden. But that means everybody felt the whole night. You had a crazy storm happening.
Right.
Crazy. So there was room for doubt. There was still room for doubt, both on the part of the Egyptians and the Jews. Right? It wasn't so easy for them to necessarily believe everything. So there's an unprecedented storm happening here. Who says that it's going
Why
to
do
be
you need
safe?
a storm to have the tunnels?
I just told you. Hashem doesn't need anything. But the rule is, Koilel tell us, the rule is Hashem will minimize a miracle as much as possible.
Yeah, but this is engineering. This is not just the wind come and it opens. This is we are talking about tunnels, round tunnels.
The wind does the engineering. In our mind, what happens? That's how things
The wind
happen.
came and
That's
created
right.
these tunnels.
Created we see a lot of times when you have a storm these huge waves and very funny pattern waves, etc. So there is room always for doubt. There is room always to Hashem purposely minimizes what we would call
His hand.
that's right, what we call extraordinary, right? There is something ordinary about it. Well, even if it is extra, maybe I used the wrong word. What is
Intervention.
That's right. That's exactly right. Good.
Why was it necessary to have 12 divisions? Why not one big
One big time, then them all go through.
Shiraz is flying. And it shows order. Hashem likes order. Hashem likes flags, orders. This is yours. This is yours.
Too much belongings. Yeah.
You have to also say that when they left, they also left in that order. Well, suddenly they didn't come over there and say, okay, all the Levies over there, all the Reubens over there. Suddenly they split when the enemy is attacking them.
No, so that makes sense. They didn't escape from Egypt. It was a very organized, let's call it immigration. It was an aliyah. It was very organized. We're not running away.
Right.
Or at least even if they were, Hashem didn't want it that way to them. Probably that's part of Beyad Ramah. When they
So
said
they're
Beyad
camping?
Ramah.
Were they camping there?
They came out in a very proud and dignified manner.
Organized man.
So that in order to be dignified, you need
Yes.
that organization. That's what I think. I think is true. That's part of being Beyad Ramah. Good question. Okay. Now these waters is like have these fountains that touch feet. You go near and the water
Stop.
comes out,
motion sensor?
right? It's motion sensor.
Mm.
So says the available fresh water for them for drinking didn't pour on the ground, make it slippery for them to walk. It's there available.
Right then.
You see the water bubbling over, but it doesn't drop to the ground. You go drink from it and it's there. Right?
Why do you need that?
They got thirsty. It was a whole morning affair. They could get their walking. People get dehydrated. I mean, now more than ever we know people want to go from here 3 blocks. They walk around with a bottle of water.
It's very important. The oxygen inside the tire.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Oxygen is very important too.
You need oxygen.
Huh?
Miles of tunnel.
How much
Does it talk about oxygen that way?
All right. So that was what I just said. Well, no, I didn't see anything with that. What I just said was miracle number 10. Miracle number 10. Shoyin nikpim be'shoyin nuzlim. Acha shelakum mehem mashishatu. Ashoy yodin la'aretz. In the air, they would freeze and be absorbed into the walls. So you shouldn't drip. This water that is pouring down, it doesn't drip on the ground. It gets reabsorbed into the walls in a solidified form.
Was it water on top of their head?
I'm sorry. He says that's what the pasuk means. Yes, it was a tunnel.
top two.
Nitzevu kemo ned nozlim. Nitzevu kemo ned nozlim. The water that was pouring, nitzevu kemo ned, stood up like a solid thing. So as the water that is pouring, it doesn't reach the ground. It gets solidified and is absorbed to a part of the whole tunnel.
I heard there were fruit trees also that they picked up.
Yes, there's
How
a
come it's
midrash
not-
that says that
How
also.
come Rambam doesn't say it? here?
trees?
Maybe Rambam is of the opinion that is not literal. Okay, we shall continue with session.
Azal Baruch.
There's a new Hollywood. It stopped.
The movie.
The new
all,
movie.
all fake.
And so it's called Exodus.
Exodus.
Does
Yeah.
it talk about?
And so the only thing that really is relevant to us is that Egypt, the Egyptian government, censored it. In Egypt, it's not allowed to actually show the movie
Yeah.
because it's pro-Jews.
Exactly.
I gotta go.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one.
$160 million.
That's what you're saying, racial profiling. Right?
$160 million they spent.
Do you see on the movie? 160 million?
You say racial profiling, you know.
5,000 people playing, they say.
Can you imagine?
By the way, it seems to me that Yam Suf, the Yam Suf
It's gone.
incident, the Yam Suf issue, the Yam Suf event was a lot higher than the Sinai event. Why؟ چرا که وقتی که ما میخوایم بگیم یه چیزی amazingly یک مثلا revelation هشم biggest revelation هشم ما چی میگیم؟
Yeah, ما میگیم اول Sinai.
نه میگیم
The biggest miracle we said, the biggest revelation is not that.
مگه ما
We're still
نمیگیم
recording.
Yeah?